Hi everybody, welcome to the Sentinel's high school football preview video for week 2. David Rung here with Chris Hopkins again, and we're going to take you through some of the biggest games in our area for the second week of the high school football season. The second week of our new feature, having the fans get to vote for the game of the week. That selected the winner this week of Big Spring and Susquehanna. Chris will be there Friday, and what are you expecting to see up there in Cove?
I think number one thing, it's going to be a lot different than their matchup last year. I know the final score last year was 48-7 Susquehanna. I think two very different teams, both on the Bulldog side and on the Susquehanna side. I think they're kind of headed in opposite directions right now. Susquehanna showed a little bit of a falter in that week 1 game, whereas Big Spring kind of rejuvenated with a new coach and a few new players there. So I think we're definitely going to see probably a lot closer of a game than they saw last year. I still think it's going to be a shootout. I think there's going to be a lot of points. Two pretty good quarterbacks, sophomore Garrett Chest on Big Spring, 4 touchdowns last week. Brett Morrison on the Susquehanna side, they were playing from behind a lot, but still accumulated 194 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. So I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think the fans got it right good. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, definitely be slinging the ball around a little more than we expect out of Susquehanna and Big Spring, at least the last couple of years, but that's what you get whenever you get an experienced quarterback and, well, a young team. I guess that doesn't really have too much of a choice with it.
It's going to be exciting. I mean, on the Big Spring side, I wasn't really too sure what to expect from that team. A lot of young guys coming in, a new coach and everything like that. But last week they showed, I kept touching on it. It looks like they're having a lot of fun out there. The 4 touchdown passes, they're doing a lot of different things, fake PATs, onside kicks, and everything like that. So it looks like the Bulldogs are on the right track. Whereas Susquehanna, they're gonna, if they want to have a successful season this year, I think it's gonna have to start right here. They're gonna have a lot of mistakes, just the 9 yards rushing last week, so they're gonna need to get their run game back on track, and I think it's gonna start in week 2 against not the biggest of teams in Big Spring, so that would be the team to get something started there.
Right.
On the subject of game of the week, the runner-up, what was leading for a while there, East Penn at West Perry. You're still going to be headed there.
Yep.
And same thing. What are you looking to see?
That's our second of 2 Perry County matchups that we're covering this weekend. It should be fun. It's actually my first trek up to West Perry to cover a game, so I get to get lost over the mountains.
It's a good trip.
But we're seeing kind of the same thing, team going in 2 different directions from last year. East Penn put up a 47-0 win against Waynesboro in week 1, and that was the biggest margin of victory for any of the Sentinel area teams, and they showed what they can do both offensively and defensively. Rushing, that was supposed to be one of their strengths at least early in the season. They ran the ball for 233 yards. Their starting quarterback, who they're still, I think, trying to make a decision between Josh Stambaugh and Tyler Stallman. Josh got the start last week. He went 6 for 13, 104 yards, just manageable. Got to do things, what you would expect a quarterback to have to do the first game that he's starting. And that's kind of what they can try to do against West Perry this week. West Perry gave up 219 rushing yards to Redland in week 1. Obviously, a lot of that went to John Ford, and that will happen. But that's definitely a point where they can attack them. East Penn's defense, though, is going to have to live up to their billing this year, kind of the billing that I gave them in the preview, with all their starters back and their seniors, guys with experience, because West Perry, even without your favorite quarterback, Zach Smith, Luke Nouse tore it up last week, 26 of 38, 281 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Obviously, having Chase May out on the wing, that helps him a lot. He had 13 catches for 119 yards last week, and then Nate Seitz and Jake Owen are out there too. That could definitely be high flying out there, but East Penn has the defensive backfield. That's where their biggest experience is, and that could be definitely. I think that'll be the fun part of that game to watch and definitely make the difference.
I was at that matchup last year. I remember it was at East Penn, and again, kind of 2 teams looked like they're headed in opposite directions. West Perry was still trying to kind of find an identity, and that's where they really established that run game that that really was pretty successful for them last year. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how they come back East Penn after blowing a lead to West Perry last year.
Right. Yeah. Definitely to do some motivation. That's another thing that could possibly be them wanting to make that jump from 3rd, 4th place in the division, kind of making the playoffs, to making that jump to more of a contender status.
Mm-hmm.
So those are 2 games we'll be covering. We're also covering 2 more games on Friday. Bill Landis for his finale here with Sentinel. He'll be covering Redland and Carlisle. And then Jeff Coffin will be at Central York, Cumberland Valley. What can you tell us about those 2 games there?
I think that another 2 exciting games. That Redland versus Carlisle, that's an intriguing matchup. I'm excited to see where the Thunder and Herd are after another tough loss to Mechanicsburg. They showed that run game that Joshua Oswalt wants to bring in was pretty successful and that they can do it. Mechanicsburg had a late comeback, but we'll see how they match up against Redland. John Ford's going to be a tough guy to stop for that Carlisle team. They're not the biggest of squads, especially in the Commonwealth, so it'll be interesting to see how they can slow down Ford. And then that Central York CV game, that seems like it's always a tough battle for both sides
right.
there. Two very good teams again. CV's coming off a very strong win. We'll see if they can keep that momentum going under Michael Whitehead.
All right, and that'll do it. There's still 6 other games in the area for that week, so make sure you pay attention to the Sentinel, Cumberland.com, and Sentinel Football Twitter account. Thanks, everyone.